Hey, everybody. Welcome to Spitball and Cards. We've got a skeleton crew today. I'm Jeff. Along with me, we've got Chris and Teapot.
What's up?
Today, we're going to be talking about one of the phenoms in baseball, and that is Paul Skenes. We've got a great comp comparison, probably the craziest card comparison you've ever seen. Plus, we're going to talk about the lack of rookie cards so far for Paul Skenes and what that means for Topps Update, and also some Cy Young odds. So, Ty, get us started about Paul Skenes.
Let's talk about Cy Young odds. Let's talk about that. So Paul Skenes, believe it or not, I was able to add him in my fantasy league independent of the draft this year because I guess people were sleeping on him. Shortly after the season started, I was like, I'm going to throw him into the NA slot in my fantasy league, right? This guy's a fireballer. I knew he was going to be decent. I like to add those guys to my team and see what happens when they come up. I prospect a lot within my fantasy league. So I don't need to give him any introduction to this season. The guy's basically been, he's been one of the best stories ever in terms of like coming up rapidly into the majors and pitching with incredible stuff. He hasn't even pitched the full season, and he's very much in the Cy Young conversation right now, which is crazy. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. The NL's been a little weird compared to the AL this year. I think if Skenes was in the AL, like it'd be Skubal and others, and I don't know that we'd be talking as much about Skenes just because of the duration. But the NL is a little more weird this year. So as of right now, Chris Sale, let's call him plus 100. I can go to the sportsbook. FanDuel has him actually minus 110 for futures for Cy Young Award, and he's kind of up to plus 110 on some other sites. So that's kind of the thing across the board. Zach Wheeler now has actually supplanted Skenes as of his last start because of, what did you say, Jeff? Like 4 earned runs or something. Like it wasn't a abysmal outing. It wasn't the Skenes outing that we've been used to for most of his other outings this year. So Zach Wheeler's back into the conversation. I know you guys have talked about him in the past. Let's call him plus 200 on average at the different sports books. Skenes is third. Lowest odds is plus 185. Highest is plus 500 with FanDuel as of this moment. So some distribution there. Okay. I want to know too, just as like a little trivia, if you guys had to guess who's fourth right now, who's fourth in Cy Young odds? Fourth and fifth, by the way, are kind of close. So if you get one of them, I'll give you credit.
I'm going to say it's either Cease or Glasnow.
Good guesses. I'm going to wait for Jeff, and then I'll tell you if you're right.
No, Glasnow is my guess.
Okay. Believe it or not,
beyond that, I'd like to think one of my Brewers would be there, but I don't really think they are. So
Glasnow is actually sixth.
Okay, he hasn't been great, but
he got hurt, so he was injured. I don't know if you know this, but he was injured for the last stretch recently. I have him on my fantasy team too, and he was hurt for the last month or so. So
and he had a couple rough starts around that injury.
He did right before the injury. He had some rough starts, and then he went on the injured list. So I think that's kind of contributing to that. So Cease obviously pitched a no-hitter. He's fifth right now, though it depends on which sport book you're looking at. Hunter Green's in the conversation, believe it or not, at fourth. He's been really hot.
I do believe that because I've seen him on those WAR lists really high up, like top 10 WAR. So that makes sense.
Hunter Green's been fantastic over the last month or so, surprisingly. So, he's obviously a guy who had a lot of hype behind him. So it's nice to see him, like, he's getting progressively better. And I'm sure Reds fans are really excited about that.
Yeah.
But we've got Skenes at third, basically, right now on the Cy Young in the NL, which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like the Braves should probably really be looking at Chris Sale's innings. Like, I don't want to see them burn Sale out trying to drag this broken skeleton of a roster into the playoffs. Like, I'd rather he get to like 160, 165 and just pump the brakes. But looking at innings, which is a big thing for me, I still think Zach Wheeler ends up winning this award. Because even though Glasnow missed a few starts with it wasn't on the IL very long, I don't think, but he still has more innings than Chris Sale does.
Yeah. I mean, but with the Braves, what do you think, Chris, though? Like, the Mets are now tied. With the Braves.
Yeah. I don't think the Braves make the playoffs. I don't. There's nothing about them that makes me think they're going to go on a run and secure.
You gotta push Sale as long as you're trying to make the playoffs, don't you?
Right. Agreed. But that's exactly why I wouldn't push him. If I'm running that team, I'm looking at 2025. Like this, I mean, they were as snake bitten as a major league team has ever been. But
Yeah,
So
I
you're
mean,
worried about another surgery or another like long-term injury.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're the Braves, you got to be grateful if Sale gets through this year healthy.
I'd be
Build on it next
curious.
year.
I'd be curious with people in the comments, like, what do they think about that? Like from a baseball and a card perspective, like if you're, I don't know, that's an interesting conundrum, right? Like baseball playoffs are wild. Anything can happen. We've seen many wild cards get to the World Series, like,
Yeah.
and some win the World Series. Like anything can happen. I'm kind of on the mindset, like, let's fight tooth and nail and try to get in, and then see what happens from there. And the Braves have had some. This just reminds me. I don't know. It reminds me of a World Series season just because of the weird, quirky nature of it. Like they're underdogs now, so who knows what they could do? But
I don't know. I know they can cough up a 6-run lead with 2 outs in the 8th inning in Colorado.
I know Austin Riley could have a big week and screw me in my fantasy league this week.
I know they can give up 52 hits in a 3-game series to the Brewers.
Hey,
but hey, to the playoff point, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We were kind of hoping that the Pirates might sneak in somehow so we could get a Skenes playoff start. That's probably not looking likely, but even if he doesn't,
as the Braves sink, the Pirates could rise. There's a chance. But yeah, I would love to see the Pirates
playoffs these days. It seems so. It's always possible. But even if he doesn't make the playoffs, and maybe the Pirates kind of are hoping he doesn't to limit his innings, but he's still had a pretty incredible season. And the fact that he's one of the hottest players in baseball and he only has really one card that means anything, that's something we should talk about.
It's weird, right, Jeff? Yeah, we're at the situation where Skenes is like one of the most hyped, exciting, popular young players in baseball. And he doesn't have any real rookie cards yet. We're all just like
go to a
waiting.
Card store, ask for a Paul Skenes card, and you either get Topps Now or you get his Bowman.
Yeah, you get the 2023 Bowman draft. Like that. That's really the auto in there is really so far the only card of his that matters. And that is driving that price a little wacky, isn't it? Isn't it, Teapot?
Yeah, it is. It is driving it incredibly wacky. In fact, I can show you how wacky. And I'm going to do another little trivia, but this one is more for our audience because I showed you guys this right before the video. In fact, you brought this up, Chris. You asked the question. What does Paul Skenes Bowman Chrome Auto PSA 10? How does that compare to a one Mookie Betts? Arguably the second best player of the last decade, plus compare to Paul Skenes, the recent phenom pitcher, by the way, not fielder, not hitter, pitcher, where we know.
Let's factor in the pop reports too, Teapot. Let's give everyone all the information so they can
factor in. So Paul Skenes, his card is 2023 Bowman Draft. Came out a year ago. Okay. PSA 10 pop 535. Do you think that pop is done growing? No. It won't. It's not done growing. It won't grow. It won't go to 1,000, but it'll keep growing. It'll grow another 100, maybe. Pop 535. Mookie Betts, 2014 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto PSA 10, pop 198. That'll probably tickle 200 someday, but it's been a while since that card came out. So those two cards.
Just to give some perspective, Teapot, I wanted to say that Mookie Betts has a career WAR of 68.7.
Thank you.
And Paul Skenes has a career WAR of 3.8.
Thank you. Yeah, and totally different positions.
Yep.
Pitchers notoriously not anywhere near worth in cards what hitters and are worth. Mm-hmm. So let's pop up the chart. Bang! We got $1,300 for Mookie, and we got Paul Skenes at $1,450. Does that make sense to you guys?
It couldn't make any less sense. But then, in a way, Jeff, knowing what we know about the hobby. It does make sense because this is what people do, but it shouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, we're talking a lot of recency bias here, and just like Teapot alluded to, typically you're going to get less value out of a pitcher, even if the pitcher is of the same quality as a position player. Here, he's even more, which just is mind blowing.
This card to me, at $1,300 is a no-brainer buy right now. Like a no-brainer buy. Mookie Betts is one of the best. Mookie Betts is amazing. I mean, I've talked to Scott about this. We've all talked to him. He was on to Mookie. He's sold some Mookies. He's done well on Mookie. Mookie's a buy. Right now, he's a buy at this price, seeing the trajectory. That's the interesting thing. So I can actually take Skenes off of this chart. We can just look at Mookie and say, wow, okay, yeah. So a year ago, he was at, right around this price, 1,400. Saw a lot of volatility. He had the MVP caliber season. He was up. He peaked up at 2,000. And now this most recent sale, like, man, if I had seen that at $1,300, are you kidding me? Knowing that the prior sale right here was at $1,750. Like, it's Mookie.
It's Mookie. And Mookie, I believe he's due back this week. We're recording Sunday the 11th. I believe he is due back for the Dodgers in right field sometime this week. Whereas
Skenes, credit to all the Skenes hype boys and everything. You could have had Skenes, at the $200 to $300 mark, $250 to $300 mark, spiked up all the way at what was the price point? Man, maybe we should have seen this coming, guys. 2,000. If that was paid for, but let's even just call it $1,500, right? Like normalized. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, and Bowman is Bowman. We've talked about Bowman being king, but one thing I want to point out with these two specific players as well is that the rookies are going to come and there's going to be a lot of autographs. Mookie doesn't have a lot of autographs. He doesn't have a lot of on-card autographs from his rookie year. He doesn't have many autographs at all in general. And we're going to see a ton of Skenes rookie autos hit. And I think that's going to take a little bit of a bite out of his Bowman values. So it's startling to see that.
Yeah. It has to take a big bite out of that Bowman value because all that hype right now is just funneled into one card at this point.
One card.
Pretty soon we're going to get Topps update. We're going to get Topps Chrome update. We'll get Sapphire update. He'll probably be in Stadium Club when that releases sometime, most likely early next year. And God knows there's done tons of other sets that, is he in Cactus Jack? Do we have a checklist on that?
Sure. Oh, yeah. They got everybody in there.
Missed opportunity if he wasn't. He's got to be in there.
Missed opportunity. Yep. Yeah, there's going to be tons of autos and all those products.
Yep.
Oof. Yeah. And Heritage High Number, for sure he'll be in there.
Yeah. By the way, Chris, here's another fun one for you. Let's take another fun one. How about Freddie? Freddie Freeman. Do you know what Freddie Freeman's Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto pop count is?
I do. I know his refractor pop count is 5.
So his base Chrome is,
I want to say it's like 27, 28?
22.
22. Okay.
22. Yeah. Okay. And that card last sold as a market movers August 7. So recent. Okay. $1,130. Freddie Freeman, one of the best overall hitters. I mean, not just one of the best overall hitters of the last, decade, but really, put him into the ever conversation of form and everything. His ability to hit any ball. I know that's a lot, but top 100. Yeah. He's a phenomenal hitter.
And there's only 21 others, right? Only 21 others of that card in a PSA 10.
Yeah. Less than so we do a market cap, right? And market movers. So basically multiply the PSA 10 count by the grade, right? Yeah. So the market cap of Freddie Freeman's PSA 10 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto Pop 22 PSA 10 is $24,800. The market cap of Paul Skenes PSA 10 Bowman Chrome Auto with far more parallel variations than Freddie Freeman is $776,000.
$776,000 to $24,000 for market cap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put your money? Your money?
Chris makes a good point that everything's being funneled into that. So anybody who's coming into the hobby or just wants to join in the Paul Skenes fun, you go to your card shop and ask for them. What do they have? That's what they've got. They've got his Bowman Chrome Auto. So that's what you're going to buy. And all the money is going into there. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that holds when all the other cards come floating into the market.
Yep.
Yeah. If I had to pick, I mean, either that or a Topps Now. I feel like those are your only options for Skenes.
Yeah. So we could do the same thing, the same exercise. There's one player who comes to mind for me who's a hitter right now who I would throw into this category more than anybody. if you guys had to pick one, let's
Ellie?
call him like 2-year phenom, rookie phenom for hitting, fielding, who would it be?
2-year, I'd say Gunner. 1 year, Ellie.
Okay, so I was thinking Ellie just within the last couple of years. Like to me, Ellie's the guy. Ellie and Skenes to me are like analogs right now in the current baseball paradigm, where I'd be like, I just feel nauseous. Like, be careful. Just be careful. Like, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can happen. People have really, really soured on J-Rod. Scotty just put out his video about I was wrong about Witt because I thought J-Rod was the better buy. Right now, it looks like J-Rod is just on the struggle train, and it's 1 year. Honestly, it's just 1 year. He could come out next year and have an insane year, and maybe Bobby struggles. That's baseball. But that's the cautionary tale. That's what I would say. That's the cautionary tale with baseball cards.
I would add one more thing onto that. We know hitters can go through slumps, but pitchers, especially pitchers who throw hard, are more likely than not to have some elbow issues and could miss a full season, 18 months anytime soon. So
yeah, sometimes multiple. Just be careful.
Yeah, and Julio, it's worth noting for Julio that this is only 1 year, as Ty said, but also the Mariners are probably going to the playoffs.
Yep.
So, I mean, Julio's year is not over.
Yeah.
And last year he had like a 3-week stretch. Remember, we had like a whole bunch of 4-hit games. So his end of year numbers can end up looking very different than they look now, which is, of course, not good.
Yeah. If I were to ask you guys, like, who's a pitcher who comes to mind who you hope who maybe is most similar to Skenes, but maybe for me, who I think of, I hope doesn't end up with the same outcome after a decade, who would that be? I have one name.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way he started was very reminiscent of Strasburg, who came up with the Nationals and was like untouchable his rookie year.
Bingo.
I was looking at his numbers like crazy.
You remember Strasburg? What did he have? 14 strikeouts his first outing. I think it was 14. Was it? I don't know. I'm trying to like pull it out of a hat, but I think it was 14.
I think it was 2. That year he threw 68 innings and had 92 Ks. His FIP was 2. His ERA plus was 139. Like, he was really good.
Steven Strasburg's first outing. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Let me look. I've got 2010.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go to his game log because I'm pretty sure he did like 6 innings, 14 Ks. Let's look. 7 innings, 14. 7 innings, 14 Ks was his debut. Now, that's unbelievable.
And it's a great parallel because they also were hugely hyped and had a lot of anticipation for when they would make their first start. So
he threw 94 pitches his first outing. Strasburg did. So, maybe people today would argue that's the problem. I don't know, but that was 2010. But yeah, he was out there throwing in the 90s every outing. I just remember that. I remember where I was. I remember everything about that outing and just going, wow, this guy is a phenom. That was back in the days when, he and Bryce Harper were being hyped till the cows come home. And holy cow, he was electric. He looked like Kerry Wood. You know what I mean? When I saw him come out and he threw, I was like, oh gosh, this is a guy who could throw, have a 20 strikeout game. Like he had 14 in his first debut ever. It was insane. So Skenes, I've been watching like Strasburg Dynasty, patch autos, like all kinds of stuff. I like Strasburg. I love pitchers. I love pitching. I've said it a million times. His story is a cautionary tale. Another guy like Jacob deGrom's about to come back. I have him on my fantasy team too. He's about to come back from injury. So he's another guy who's utterly dominant when he's healthy. But like, what do we make of of that from a card perspective? I don't know. He can't.
Another guy I would have to say is similar physically as well was Mark Pryor when he came up with the Cubs.
Pryor was
like
nasty.
also against the Pirates. His debut, I think he struck out 10 in 6 innings. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these guys have a very similar career trajectory, and it's not always great, and it's super, super risky.
Yes.
A lot
I will say the Strasburg thing is especially sad for as a fan of like image variations, like Jeff and I think Teapot as well. Yeah. Strasburg has what could have been like one of the greatest image variations of all time.
What the?
It's still
Yeah,
a really, really cool card, but
Yeah.
and he's got a World Series MVP, but man, if he had put like something close to Verlander's career together, this would be
It's like
high three-figure.
It's like
maybe
Eyes
even
Wide
above.
Shut or V for Vendetta. That's
Right?
some.
It's there was like
Dang.
a pie in the face theme with these
Pie
2010
in the face.
image variations. Just an absolutely fantastic card. Still cool, but not quite what it could have been.
Strasburg just reminds me of like if Max Scherzer had never had a great career. You know what I mean? Like similar, like power pitcher, strikeouts, incredible action. Thankfully we've gotten a really good career, and obviously there's the Nationals connection between those two guys, but it just is heartbreaking, honestly, when you get somebody as talented as that. I think we're all rooting for Skenes. We're not Pirates fans. Yeah. Like I just want that guy to like pitch forever. Especially in an era now where starting pitching is, we've talked about.
Yeah, I want to see him in. Oh, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's reminiscent of Spencer Strider, because I'm not a Braves fan, but I loved watching him pitch, and he seemed like he was going to be built to pitch forever. And we finally decided to bite the bullet and buy a couple pitcher cards this offseason, and that didn't go very well. So it's a cautionary tale. We remind ourselves repeatedly that it's not nothing's a sure thing when it comes to pitching, even if they're built like a house.
Early returns, Jeff. It's a long game with Spencer Strider, but I would love to see Skenes and Strider going head to head for the next decade, have like mustache battles. There's so much potential with those two guys. But Skenes he's just a big, strong guy. He's exciting. Let me ask you guys this question: Paul Skenes, of the cards we don't have yet, what's the Paul Skenes rookie card you guys are most excited to see?
Ooh, good question.
I'll go if you want.
Go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
His flagship black, because I'm going to love the color match with that uniform with the Pirates black. Always looks great. I'm excited for that. I'm hoping for a great picture, hopefully a mustache picture. I'm looking forward to that. Give me the
that yellow with the black could look really good.
Yeah. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Well, they have the black refractors back now in Chrome too.
They do.
Number to 10.
Yes.
So that could be pretty sweet.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's I wouldn't say it's design dependent, because we're expecting him to come out and update. So I wonder if he's in Chrome update, that numbering gets wonky, right? Like they do different numbering and reds to 25, and they do some funky things, which drives me crazy. So I don't know if they'll do the 10. It's all photo dependent for me, which is like, we don't know until the cards come out, right? So what short print image variations will there be? What will hit if there's a, heritage high number, like,
we know that design for heritage high number is going to be great. So
I'm really excited about those, like maybe seeing the real one from that product and what that could look like. They're going to be big. I'd be really curious to know. I've looked at other players in the past, like J-Rod and others, like when their rookie cards debut versus their Bowman cards. Their prospect cards do take a hit. Mm-hmm. It's not like a stark hit like you might think. Like it doesn't like just go, like down. Like prospect cards hold their own, especially the autos and other things. There is somewhat of a dip though by like the glut and influx of new stuff, like new money into the rookie cards. You have some people who just want both. So I think that helps. Like it doesn't impact. It's not like it's a one or either or, but it's back to that like overall market cap concept of like how much money is just into a particular player at a given time.
Yep. Right.
So be mindful of those types of things. I don't know. I'm excited to see his stuff come out. As a fan of pitching, it's frustrating because he's like must see TV. Like I really I have the MLB app and I have the subscription, and I like if I see he's pitching and he's on my fantasy team, I'm like, cool, let me like pull that up. And my son and I like watching that stuff together, and so it's exciting. But it's as like a card person, it's like I'm almost like frustrated. I feel like I can't get into his cards right now. I'm just nervous. I don't want to like lose my shirt on a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. He's going to be one of those guys. And we've seen it before with guys like Bobby Witt, Adley, even J-Rod, that they come in so expensive that it's hard to get in. It's hard to decide at what price could you get in, or what product could you get in with and still feel good. Look at this price compared to the Mookie Betts. It's just hard to feel safe about buying some of his cards right now.
Yeah.
Or will be, including into the fall and into the winter. Although, as we know, the offseason presents a lot of good buying opportunities. So maybe in the doldrums of November, you can find some good Skenes buy.
I'm kind of hoping that he gets an image variation that maybe is like him throwing out the first pitch of the All-Star game. I feel like that could be a cool Stadium Club image variation if he gets one. Sure. I'm sure there's going to be moments like when he made his debut in Pittsburgh. There's got to be a good standing ovation shot. Or maybe him just walking out to the mound. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what Topps does because he's going to have a gold mirror SSP that they introduced image variations in a Chrome update for the first time last year. Those will be interesting. Stadium Club, you should have one. They now do image variations in Bowman Sapphire for the rookies. So he'll probably have one of those too whenever we get that product.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
There's a lot of sets that should have an opportunity for a really cool.
And they've had a long time now to get good images of them. So I hope that they're not using some airbrush or spring training shots. They've got a lot of good opportunities to get good shots.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys remember. Talked about the mustache. I don't want to see a close-up picture of just his face either. I'm not interested in that.
That's funny. So we talked about Strasburg. One other guy who comes to mind for me, and I talked about Scherzer as well. But actually, the pitcher who maybe most is analogous to Skenes early in his career is Justin Verlander. Like he came up fast. He pitched late in the season when he was drafted by the Tigers, and he pitched late in the season. He pitched in the playoffs. Like he was right into the fire and flames. He was very viable. He was incredible. So I'm comparing now. I'll pull up his stats here. I had a couple.
Then he led the league in losses, right? Was that the following year?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think it was the following year because I'm looking at those stats right now. So I've got 3 guys here, and I've got Verlander, Skenes, and Strasburg. So I've got Verlander and Strasburg in their second years when Strasburg already apparently missed time, which I don't remember, but apparently that happened. So ignore this. I could just scratch it off.
That's surprising.
But I want to look at these 2 categories because this is where, look at the innings difference, 92 to 186.
He's thrown half the games.
Yeah, Verlander early, he's always been a power pitcher,
but not a strikeout pitcher early on, huh?
124 in 186, whereas
look at the K rate.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
32 to 16.
Exactly. So this is interesting. Like I always think of JV as like a 1-to-1, one strikeout per inning kind of guy on average at least.
Yeah, Verlander had some more growing pains though, I think, right?
Yeah, like that's a big ERA difference.
I guess it was his third year that he led the league in losses. He had the 11-17 record with the 484.
Yeah, could be. He went through some pain with the Tigers, I'm sorry to say. So that's just, I don't know. Skenes he's doing some very, very, very amazing things. He's a phenom. He's incredible. A few years ago, I remember hearing about Ben Joyce like dominating college at Tennessee and just being this force. And now he's a closer now for the Angels. And he's good. He's really good, but he's a closer. He's a power pitcher throwing 103 to 105 for the Angels. This guy's he's a starter. He's a viable, incredible talent. I hope he stays healthy. I'm actually rooting for him. I hope he stays healthy. Trivia question, because we brought it up. Kerry Wood, and then I'll look at Mark Pryor too. What's the most expensive Kerry Wood card sale that we have in Market Movers in the last 2 years? If you had to guess. And I'll give you a clue. It's his Gem Masters 1-of-1 that Scott just bought of Larry Walker.
Oh.
So it's the 99 Metal Universe 1-of-1 Gem Masters Kerry Wood. And it sold in April of 2023 on PWCC. What do you just
then maybe $1,000?
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna say less. I'd say like $250, maybe $300.
Oh, wow. Well,
wait,
no,
so you think didn't Scott get the one? Wasn't it like $5,000 or something?
I think the Walker was. I think that might have been like 7 or 8.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. All right. I have to recalibrate.
Yeah. I think I think so. Scott wouldn't. He's obviously not here, but I think it was. I don't know if he publicly, but I think it was in that ballpark.
Okay.
Because these are, you got to remember, one of ones in the 90s.
Yeah,
There's
it's
only
almost unfair
from that year. There's only
trivia,
like
90s trivia questions at Chris and I.
Yeah, from the 90s, any given player might have had like a total of 7 one-of-ones. Like that's it. Like they don't have a lot. And Gem Masters is by far the most notable.
Okay. I mean, Kerry Wood had maybe the most dominant pitching game of all time, but
he did. I think so.
Not a ton else. I don't know. Like he should be like half a Larry Walker, but Cubs fans are passionate. Mm-hmm. So $5,500.
Okay.
No, I think it's less than that. I'm still going to stay.
Okay. It was actually 6,300.
Wow.
So good guess. Good guesses. I will tell you those Gem Masters. When Scott was looking at the Walker, they're very, very, very popular cards amongst people who like set chase and look at like grails, like 90s grails. They're very important cards. So they're like in a different tier.
Yeah.
The next closest was his, if you guys remember from the 90s video we did a few weeks ago, was the Crusade Red to 25, and a PSA 8 did just under 1,700. So like there's a big gap there between those cards, but one of ones from the 90s, don't underestimate them. Like they go very well. So that was the Kerry Wood, and I do believe he had one of the better performances all time.
Oh yeah, I remember
the most expensive Mark Pryor card we have.
Oof.
This is crazy. Is $363.
Yeah,
that's the most expensive, and that was actually in February of this year. That was a 2003 Elite Throwback Threads, and it had Nolan Ryan on the card. So can you even count
Pryor probably didn't have a lot of those one-of-ones that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
I think he was out of the, yeah. All right, while we're looking at comp, I have a question. So we just compared Skenes to Verlander. So I want to know, Verlander doesn't have a first Bowman Chrome auto, Ty. He's got that. I think his first autos are in, is it 2005? He's got a Bowman Chrome and I think a Topps Chrome rookie auto.
Yeah.
So what do those sell for, given the career Verlander has put together?
And I would imagine their pop is pretty low compared to.
I would think they're very low. I think the Bowman Chrome is. I think they're on card, but I'm not 100% sure.
They are on card. They look like they're stickers, but they're actually on card. It's like one of those weird things they did with the card. So here we go.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Pop 68 in the PSA 10, right around that price point that we were looking at earlier with
Mookie.
With Mookie.
So about $1,100.
Yep.
And it's 1/10 the pop.
Yeah.
And we'd be looking at, the theory would be that like Paul Skenes, like we see him as potentially being as good as Justin Verlander over his career. Maybe he could be better. Man.
Maybe he doesn't have those up and downs early in his career that Verlander had. If he just keeps on this trajectory that he's got now for the next 18 years.
Yeah. He just needs also better security on his phone, Jeff.
Yep. This chart may be the most telling, you guys. If you look at this, this is total sales dollars. Okay. That get charted. And what this shows you is that there was one sale of Verlander here for that card of Pop 68 for $1,140. And another apparently of 460. I don't know if that will. Look at how many of these Skenes are selling. That's the market cap question.
Yep.
Like these things are just boom, 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 because there's so many.
There's so many more of them, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, I think the bottom line is he's exciting to watch. Like Ty said, he's must-watch TV. But be careful if you're looking at investing in his cards.
Yeah.
If you can be a little patient and wait till more cards hit, you probably can get a little more bang for the buck.
Yep.
That's right. Anything else you guys want to add to our pitching and Paul Skenes discussion before we go?
I love pitchers. It's my favorite aspect of the game. We've talked about it so many times in the past. It's frustrating. Like the elbow problem is real. And all these guys are trying to get paid, and I don't blame them. And then the teams are trying to, analytically, they're trying to win. In order to do that, you have to pitch with velocity. You have to pitch with spin. You have to, have great breaking balls. You've got to do all the things. I don't know. I don't know what's got to give. I don't see human anatomy evolving to support better, UCL or whatever, ligament structure rapidly in the next 100 years. So like what's got to give? What could change to help sustain pitching into the future? I don't know. Maybe if they brought back the sticky stuff, I don't know. That would probably just make it so nobody ever hits again, and all these guys still try to spin like crazy. Skenes is a phenom. I think we're all rooting for him. That's all I'll say is I actually am hoping. I'm hoping he's like the Nolan Ryan of our generation. That he's a legend 20, 30 years into the future, that he has multiple no-hitters. He obviously had a no-hitter, but he just didn't get to finish the game. So let's see this guy tear it up. I'm all about it.
No, I actually just want to say I was surprised Ty isn't really excited for his dynasty rookie to come out, because maybe they'll get it. Maybe there'll be an all-star patch on one of those.
Yeah.
On one of the 9 fractures that they give us.
They'll do like 15 of them this set and then ruin dynasty. Who I hope not. Please, Tops, no, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Scott and Phil will be back next week. So if you missed them, know that they're on their way back. But thanks everybody for taking your time to join us. See you next time.
Yeah. Cheers.